God damn, boy, you make me want to get back in the fucking game, bro. Do not tempt me with a good time. Don't fucking tempt me with a good time, bro. God damn. Hello.
Hey, Al, this is Rami giving you a call at Westcap. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. I was just clicking around online. I didn't think I was going to get any phone calls. I was just curious about something, but I'm good.
Yeah, no, of course, I get it. I'm sure your phone is actually going off right now, left and right, so I won't take too much of your time.
Alrighty, welcome everybody to this week's episode of Sales Tank, brought to you by Acez Academy. And today I'm very excited to have somebody who's dominating the game currently. Right now, as we speak, he's probably one of the top brokers in the United States right now, right here. We brought him to the show for you guys as always. And he goes by Rami Abbas. He's married with 5 kids and 2 dogs. So yes, he has a full plate at home, you would say. He's been in the mortgage business since 2008. He started at Quicken Loans at the time, which is now Rocket Mortgage, stayed there for 5 years. Then he went to UWM for a couple of years. Then he went to Loan Depot for 10 years. 5 years he was an originator, and the last 5 years he was a leader. He took a break from that and he just did a complete shift in his career and in his life and went to be an independent broker under West Capital branch model. And just last month, his first month in the broker business on the broker side, leaving retail, he crossed over $209,000 in revenue for submission volume with a 70% pull through, which means this gentleman made about $150,000 in 1 month, first month being a broker. And I thought it'd be great to bring him on the show, especially in times like this where people are having a bit of a rough patch in sales. I want to bring somebody that's having their best month of their life in sales and pick their brain. So welcome to the show, Rami. Thank you for being here and taking time out of your day while you're grinding, hustling, and on the phones. Are you out there?
Thank you, I appreciate you, man. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having me over as well. Some of you guys know me probably. Thanks for being here as well. I know that I've spoken to different groups over my career, but Trafford asked me to step in just to make kind of, and show my journey and in regards to the broker side, how things have been going for me, and also ultimately, what I've been doing for, at the surface, and my mindset towards it. So thanks for having me. And then the first thing I want to talk about, just obviously as Trafford mentioned, it's just there's a lot of it comes with experience, right? But a lot of it also comes with just grinding and working hard, pushing through, and mindset. So we'll talk about all these different aspects, and we'll talk also about my strategy and how we can actually get you guys to maybe mimic that to a certain extent. You're still going to have to do the work. You're still going to have to do the job and grind it out. But ultimately, if you can get a good base and foundation, you should be able to pick up and run with it. So first things first, my main thing is pretty much, making sure that I'm using all of my experience. And a lot of you guys, I'm assuming on the broker side, come from a good experience, good reputable company you probably worked for in the past, because ultimately being in the broker side, you got to start somewhere on the retail or direct side. So with that being the case, I mean, as he alluded to, I started at Rocket, right? Back then it was called Quicken Loans, and then went to UWM, and then went to Loan Depot, and now I'm here. The main thing I can tell you, I've been successful at all of these companies that I work for, but the main thing, honestly, is just work ethic. Primarily, it's work ethic. Right. So being able to grind on a daily basis and being able to have something that you're chasing every single day. You learn from everything you do experience wise, and you learn from, the product knowledge and everything else, but you have to be able to close, right? You have to there's a sales aspect to this job. The one thing, unfortunately, that many people make a mistake of is that they transition from the retail and direct into broker side, but they think that it's going to be a little bit more laid back. And it could be for you maybe, but ultimately that's not what is going to drive your production. Being laid back and waiting for somebody to close you versus you closing them and earning the business, right? When somebody tells you, for example, what's the next steps, right? That's the client closing you. I mean, that's what we call a layup, but ultimately that's not what you're looking for. Those are very, very few out there. You know how aggressive and how competitive the market is right now, especially with brokers and retail lenders and everything else. Why not be different? Why not sell yourself, sell your product, and be able to actually physically and verbally, ask for the business and close? Okay, here's what we're going to do next. What credit card are you going to use for your appraisal? These are all things that, we, unfortunately, many people that come to the broker side make a mistake of not bringing that up because they think their price is good. And that's something I've heard a lot. The price is good, so it's going to sell itself. No, that's not the case. That is not the case at all. That's the one thing I want to talk about. And maybe people to tell me, what's your success recipe? Like, what's your sauce? I'm like, no, there is no sauce. It's literally marketing. You have to invest in yourself, right? In your business. It's work ethic and it's mindset. Those are the main three things. Beyond that, you can have all the other stuff and characteristics that you actually have, but you need to have those three in order to be, or take your business to the next level and be successful. Okay. So I know Shrev has some questions for me, obviously, and I know that he has obviously other things that he wants me to talk about, but I'll take it one at a time based on what his questions are, and then we'll open it up for questions at the end if we have a little time left over to see if you guys have anything on your mind you want to ask away.
Yes, sir. Like a true sales professional, you took control of my whole show here. I've never had that happen, and he went straight into the agenda. I got some tough questions for you, brother, and I really appreciate it. We are going to get down and dirty into the grits of your business to figure it out. You made it seem like it's very easy. This comes with a lot of struggle and a lot of losing sleep and a lot of consistent habits that you've probably had your whole life. But let's start with the transitions. You went from Rocket to UWM to Loan Depot to broker model. What are the lessons that you learned from each? You're talking about two rival companies, another rival company, Loan Depot, and now West Capital back to Team Rocket. Who? And you're back there. What are the lessons you learned going through four of these different companies? And what roles did you have in these companies? What lead sources did you work? Purchase, refi, what were you doing? Like, where's your experience coming from?
Good question as well, Shref. The main thing for me is number one, the one thing I learned is just to always have good relationship with people. Primary, number one thing with business, right? It's not personal. It's just business, literally. You don't have to leave on a bad note. When you're going to make a decision to go somewhere else or change your, have a different, road for your career, just, part with good, and on good terms. Number two is mindset. I've learned that this job, when I first started at Rocket Mortgage, back then Quicken Loans, the first thing I was told is, number one, this is going to be a roller coaster of your life, literally. It literally is. Between all the different ups and down in the market, ups and down. Like, it's like literally, if you look at an actual, 10-year chart, it's a roller coaster. And so is production. Production is going to be a roller coaster, and you can't let 1, 2, 3 bad days affect your mindset. That's number one thing I learned. Number two, at Quicken Loans back then, I was at LO for about 3 years. And then I ended up being a team captain for the last year that I was there. So I had maybe a small group of people, about 4 or 5 people that would come to me for questions and things of that nature. I never made it to a director of sales at that point because I parted ways before I did. And then I went to United Wholesale Mortgage.
Before United, what was your best month you had at Quicken Loans as a LO? Just curious.
Best month was when we were doing, back then, our specialty region that we were working on was we were doing power banking, but we were also getting overflow of green tree leads, like all of the HARP loans. So I think the best month I had was about maybe 75,000.
All right. And how many units closed was that? Do you remember?
Well, it wasn't back then. It was based on, full to receive, right? So full to receive, I had approximately about 70 full to receive in 1 month.
70 or 7?
70. 70.
70. All right, got it. So you were back in the Howlin' Wolf days, crazy times.
Exactly. Correct.
Right, so you probably got used to the chaos back then at Quicken Loans and got some of that experience with the chaos.
Correct. That's how it all started.
And then what'd you do at UWM and what'd you learn there?
At UWM, I did pretty much just regular refinance. Okay. And it was just ag lead. I think it was more of a temporary stop for me, like an in-between stop for me. I just taken time off and sitting home. So I just filled my, my time in between and did regular ag leads. They had a little small call center because they had a retail division at UWM. And then they also had their wholesale, which was upstairs. But it was retail. They had a small, like maybe 25, 30 loan officer team. And then they had pretty much a call center with 3, 4 people that were just dialing all day. So same exact concept as Rocket on a smaller scale. Anything
you learned that was different at UWM compared to Rocket?
The one thing I can tell you I learned from Rocket and I also learned at UWM, it's just management style and leadership. Those are the main 2 things because products are about the same thing. The second thing comes along is just management, leadership. When I say management, guys, I mean like being able to ask questions. being able to ask for help, right? An open door policy kind of a thing. Those are the main things when I say management. It's not like, because a lot of companies you sign up with, or, the one thing with the broker side, for example, which is why this is very, very, related to what we're talking about, is having the proper support, being able to have your manager, your VP, and all the team members that you need to get things done. Right. Otherwise, if you're standing there scratching your head, right, it's only going to confuse you even more.
And then you went to Loan Depot for 10 years. You said 5 year LO, 5 year leader. I know Loan Depot mainly works like lending tree leads and those kind of lead.
So Loan Depot is my longest career that I've had, which was about 10 years, shy, like 2 months shy from 10 years, but it was all aggregate leads. Everything, right? Of course, you have your referrals that you would get, from your customers, but primarily it was all aggregate leads. Lending tree, lower my bills, free rate upgrade, Lend Go, and a few other lead sources as well that they probably, have like self-generated business from, like retention and things of that, and like past clients, things of that nature. Those would all go for the most part to the dialer, and you would just say, you would go available and you get a call, go available and you get a call based on how many leads you're expected to get on a daily basis, and you were required to convert. It was instilled in you, required to convert. That's kind of one thing I learned that has me functioning at this level, is that I have to convert, right? The only difference now is I'm paying for my own leads. So therefore, it makes it even more valuable and a better reason, more of a reason for me to actually pound that lead as hard as I can until it actually converts.
Yeah, and I always tell people the best way that you could put your back up against the wall is to pay for your own leads. And I tell people that work for retail divisions or that their company buys them leads, like, look, it's easy when somebody buys you leads to shit the bed or have a bad day because you're not concerned about it. But if you just pretend your money's on the line, because realistically it is on the line, it's your paycheck at the end of the day that you're burning, you treat every single lead like you paid for it, except in your instance, you're actually paying for them. So I got a lot of questions that came in even before this call from people that actually are thinking about leaving the retail world and coming to the broker world, and they're asking me like, what things should we expect? Was it tough? What's the hardest part about switching from retail to broker? So in your experience, going from 15, 20 years in retail to completely an independent model and being a broker and handling your own business and your own lead spend, how was that experience? What was tough about it? Was it easy? What advice do you have for people that are thinking about it?
Yeah, so the main thing, guys, it's a learning curve. It's definitely a learning curve, right? So going from retail direct, you have to understand that direct retail has a lot of overhead, right? They have a call center, they have different million things that go into it to make your phone ring. There's a bunch of stuff that go along with it. And that's one thing I learned from, in management when I was managing at Loan Depot, is that there's so much that goes along to get that phone to ring on your side when you go available. So the biggest thing is a learning curve in regards of lenders and product knowledge. That's your biggest learning curve. Turning on the lead and turning it off, turning on your lead flow and turning it off, that's easy, right? Buying leads, that's easy. All that stuff is easy. And if you have the proper follow-up system, that's easy as well. But the number one thing is just you have to be open to learning a new system. That's the main thing. Everything else that you've learned in the retail and direct side, you can bring that with you, because you will need it and it will help you a lot. But the primary thing is a system knowledge of whatever POS you're using, right? If it's Lending Pad, if it's, if you're not familiar with Rocket System or Plaza or Kind or EPM, like all these things you have to learn. And frankly, you have to be open-minded about it, because you're going to make, 10 times more what you would make on the retail side. So is it worth the learning? Absolutely, right? It's not like, it's not even worth my time. No, it is worth your time, because you have to be open-minded, because you're going to use these lenders, right? And the one thing I learned very, very early on, my first week here at Westcap, for example, is keep it simple. If you overcomplicate things, you're going to spiral. Any broker shop you go to, you have so many lenders, you have so many portals, you have a bunch of stuff. How are you going to keep up with all that? So have your 2-3 main lenders, and maybe 1 or 2 HELOC lenders that are your go-tos. Don't look at that 111, 120 lender, optional sheet that you have. Some of you are never going to use ever in your entire career. Because people make a mistake of, oh my God, that's so exciting. Yeah, it is, until you actually see that list and have to have different logins for every single portal, right? You have to keep it simple. Have your 3-4 go-to accounts that will be able to accept your loans and type of clients that you're talking to and bringing in. That would actually minimize your learning curve, so you don't have to, feel like the weight is on your shoulder because you have to learn all of these lenders. People think they have to, but it's not necessary.
And what I tell people to do with that, Rami, because that's a great point. So first off, you're telling people that are thinking about it, the biggest struggle is not the things that they're thinking. The sales is the same, the follow-up's the same, lead flow, you pay for it, it comes in, it's pretty much the same. The only new thing is you got to shop for your own lenders, you got to shop your own guidelines, and you got to know your programs, because nobody's there to spoon feed you anything. It's you generating your business. So there's going to be a bit of education. We take the broker test, we take the safe test, we do all this studying for that test. It would make sense to spend a couple of weeks studying guidelines, programs, and lenders. Now I have somebody in this academy, they're actually on this call right now. They paid me for private sessions. We literally sat down and did what you're saying with their sessions. We narrowed down the top 3 lenders for each program: QM, non-QM, business, jumbo. We called those lenders together. We got the AEs from those companies together. Now, whenever he has a deal, let's say he has a jumbo deal, this is what I taught him to do. Create a group text or a copy-paste text with your 3 AEs from the 3 jumbo lenders. Say, here's the situation, here's what I have, please let me know what you could do. And whichever one gives you the fastest response and the best response, you go with them. And you make the AEs work for your business instead of you working for their business. Yeah. And you be aggressive just like you are with closing people. You got to be aggressive with your AEs and lenders, especially if you're a high caliber broker. If you're going to be sending people a lot of business, the AEs got to earn your business too. So whenever I have a unique situation, I'll send docs, I'll send the numbers, the situation, I'll email it to 3 or 4 different lenders, AEs, and whoever gets back to me the quickest and is willing to do business with me, that's who I'll go with. So that's a pro tip that I have for people when shopping for the right lender is, look, make the AEs work for you and let them fight for your business by sending it out, and they're going to work for your business, especially if it's a good size loan and you have a good AE.
You need to make sure, you're going to have your go-to contact. And to Shraffordin's point, just send it out and see who replies back to you the quickest and with the best answer. Because you have to keep in mind, guys, the one thing in this market is that it remains an aggressive market. So you got people still calling your borrower, right? One way, ship or the other, whether you like it or not. People depending on where you're buying your leads from. So ultimately, don't get stuck. The one thing that I saw, and everybody, make sure you don't take this offensively. You do what you got to do, right? And I'll still do what I got to do. But if you're going to run a very high caliber business, quit nickel and diming, flat out. You're running a volume play. Don't nickel and dime. Make sure you provide your borrowers with the highest level of service. Meaning, the company you're going to go with, are they going to close quickly? Are they going to give you fair price? Are they going to overcondition you based on whatever loan type you're doing, right? Because some companies, like for example, Rocket is money, right? Rocket, for example, will condition approval same day. Clear condition within a couple hours. You don't have to wait in line. You have condition, you put them in the pool, you click on submit to underwriting, and that's it, right? I'm not going to go to a different lender that might take an extra week to close a loan or more longer turn time, 24, 48 hours for every single thing we need for an extra 25 basis points. No, I'm not, because you have to keep in mind, this is also your customer on the line. So you have to make sure you're dealing with reputable companies and companies that will have your back. And at the same time, yes, to Shraffordin's point, your one-off situations, you're going to get those a lot on the broker side. Just email the account executive. Like here at Westcap, for example, we have the scenario where we email scenario. Some AEs are on there as well. And randomly, like one of them will reply back and say, hey, I can do this, right? Give me a call. We'll hop on the call. We'll talk about it briefly and we'll figure it out. That's how it works. You can't sit and wait. You have to take action yourself, okay, in order to get stuff done. And when you do that, it definitely gets done.
I love that. And when I say, like, when you're working with these other lenders, like, we think sometimes that sales is only selling a client. Like, guys and girls, I do sales with everybody involved in the process. Meaning the processors I used to work with, I would get them lunch sometimes. The underwriters that work on my files, I would communicate with them at a high level. I would make friends of these people. The other lenders, when I'm a broker, I'm making best friends with these other lenders' AEs. Like, I'm making sure when I call them, they're taking care of me because they know that I bring them a lot of business. I take care of them. Like Christmas, holiday cards, things like this. Like, I'll work on building relationships with the people that I need to close my business. And that's a whole nother level of sales. But as a LO and a broker, I had a community of people I would go to whenever I had a problem or I had a certain situation, and people took care of me because I built that web. So are you building your web, and either if you're in retail, are you building that web with your processors, your underwriters, your leaders, the people in charge of your pricing? And if you're on the independent broker scale, are you building that web with your AEs, your lenders, your processors, your underwriters, your assistants, whoever's helping you get these deals closed, are you building that relationship with them every single time? All right, so let's jump straight into your 209,000 submission month, which is gonna end up being like 150,000 in closing volume commission for yourself. Phenomenal work, brother. Some people are fighting to make that all year long. You're a very humble man. You got 5 kids, 2 dogs. You truly deserve it. I mean, you're on this call tonight. You have work after. You work your ass off. I know that for a fact. But as far as the lead flow is concerned, let's start. What's the percentage of purchase? What's the percentage of refi you're doing right now?
Great question. I appreciate the kind words as well, Trafford.
Yes.
The main thing, honestly, 0 purchase.
Okay. Why?
For me.
Why?
Honestly, I'm a refi guy, and I'm a close now and let's get your loan in process kind of guy, right? So I'm just not the nurturing type. That's just me, right? Well, do I do purchase? Absolutely, I do purchase, but I just don't buy purchase leads.
So if a purchase happens to come by you, you'll do it, but you try to focus on refinance.
Exactly, correct. Yeah.
Got it.
I have a good sales background. You know, I believe in myself. I know my value. I know what I'm selling, and I know the type of people I'm talking to every single day. So ultimately, there's people that need help out there. People, well, rates are 6%. Yeah, but still, the country's at the highest debt level it's ever been at. People need help, right? So that's kind of I focus on benefits, and I can sustain my business ultimately 100% refinance and home equity line of credit without doing purchase. But we have a lot of great people that do a phenomenal job on purchase. Like, I mean, you're talking big commissions, obviously at West Cap, and I'm sure other places too, especially because it's realtor relationships, right? We have an LO here at West Cap, for example, last year made $1.2 million off of strictly purchase referral from the realtor community he has. Not one dime in marketing spend. Not
Crazy.
one dime in market. It's crazy, yeah. So it's all about what you want to focus on. But yes, it's mainly all refinance, and I would say it's 70% first trust deed, so regular refi loans, and about 30% home equities line of credit.
Hey, thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you're enjoying it. If you'd like to see a bunch more content exclusively for you, sales, leadership, mindset, business, growth, click right down here below and hit subscribe for me. Every single week, you're going to get exclusive content delivered to you first. We also have a link in the bio with all of our products and coaching. We'd love to help you 10x your business and 10x your sales. Continue watching, and thank you for being a part of the community. We appreciate you. Where do you draw the line between home equity, like selling a refi, and like, no, home equity makes sense more? Where do you draw that line for people?
Great question. I take a look at credit first. I look at credit, and I look at what their debt is. So if you haven't learned this, being in this line of work, guys and gals in this business, is that buyers are liars. You ever heard that before? Meaning the client is never going to show you everything under the hood. They're just not, right? There's a self-pride. There's a pride factor, and they're going to tell you I have 20 grand in debt, but they might have 60, because they're not counting their car loan. They're not counting their personal loans because supposedly they took a personal loan because they consolidated their debt. But that's all debt. But either they don't know any better, or there is a pride factor into it that, I'm not going to just show you everything under the hood. But when you get to credit first and you build that relationship, you can then have an educated conversation on what you can do and what you can't do. But if you can't get there because you're so focused on, I need to get to credit in 5 minutes, and the client tells you, well, I'm not going to let you pull credit. Respectfully speaking, you haven't earned the right to pull credit yet. Let's be honest. You're just a lender, but maybe the bigger lenders like Rockets and so on might get the credit a little bit quicker because they have a reputation, but you don't have that, right? So you have to the fine line there. You have to build that trust factor and understand what they want to do before you go and pull credit, because you'll need that to be able to educate them and have a better conversation on what that is, right? How long have they had it and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled credit on a credit trigger in 12 seconds 2 days ago.
Yeah.
That was a record.
It's a separate beast, right? And credit triggers is something we'll get into as well. I think you have it on your agenda as well.
Yeah, well, the things you're saying is music to my ears, because I mean, I talk about this all the time. Like, if you're not seeing the credit report, you're missing the x-ray on somebody's body as a doctor. I mean, how are you going to know what's going on in their life? And just like you said, nobody knows. If I got paid $1,000 every single time a client told me that they have no other debts, and I pull up their credit and they have other debts, I'd be a millionaire. You know, so people don't, number one, there's a pride factor. Nobody wants to tell you, well, yeah, I got a personal loan, I have this, I have that, because there's a pride factor in there. And number two, sometimes they don't think of their second loan or their 80-20 loan. They forget about these kind of things, the SBA loans, 401k loans that don't even show up on the credit. You know, 36% of Americans took out a 401k loan last year. That doesn't even show up on credit. And I was at a broker shop today and I heard 0 people ask about 401k loans. You know what I mean? So like there's a lot of opportunities to dig deep into people's lives. But when you talk about refi, you said something very important. Right now is the time to sell cash. You know, and if you're not talking about the world, when I say the world, there's a lot of things I'm talking about. I'm talking about interest rates moving. They could go up, they could go down. That's still urgency that you could sell. Values for your home is high. That's a great time to pull out cash when values are high because they could go down. The presidency, the war going on outside the country, people being banned online. Crazy shit might happen this year. God forbid, I hope it doesn't. But there's a lot of conspiracies out there. Is there going to be another COVID? Is electricity going to go out? Is Wi-Fi going to shut? There might be some, like this is the time right now to sell urgency and cash. People need the cash, especially when the world is crazy outside. So what kills me the most for salespeople listening is when salespeople, especially selling cash, are not talking about all the crazy shit going on outside, especially right now. Like if I know that, let's say the Corvette is going out of stock forever. They made 1,000 Corvettes and they're done making Corvettes forever. And then somebody comes to my shop to buy a Corvette, and imagine I don't even mention this to them. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna think about it, I'll be back. And they want to buy a Corvette and I don't even tell them, hey, did you know that Corvette's about to, this is like the last time you could buy it. Like if I was a Corvette salesperson and you told me there's 1,000 Corvettes left and it's done, I would have the biggest sales month of my life selling Corvettes. Why? Because it's a time and a place. We call it pockets of time. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pocket of time for cash. When I'm talking to clients, I'm planting at least 8 to 12 seeds during the phone call of, yeah, thank God we're talking today, things like that. When I ask about assets, how much do you have? How is that for you? Is it comfortable? How much would you like to have? What would you do with more? These are the kind of questions I go deep on assets in. Have you ever thought of investing? Are you ever thinking about upsizing, downsizing? Have you ever thought about real estate? Have you seen the market? Have you seen the war? Have you seen what's going on? I'm talking about all these things. Why? Not only to build rapport and build a relationship and figure out who the client is, but ultimately I'm dropping 12, 13 seeds. By the end of the call, they're like, there's no fucking way, I'm waiting. Right now is the time to get cash because I'm forcing that thought process into their head. Is it because I'm a sleazeball? No, it's because I truly care. And you know what? Every single friend I have, you could ask them what I told them. Every single friend that had equity in their home, I told them, look, if the balance is around the same of how much cash they have and they need the cash, I'll say refi. If not, I'll say take out a HELOC. I don't want a HELOC. I said, go take a fucking HELOC. You don't need a balance on it. Just go pull one out, have it ready to go. You never know what the future holds. Every single house I have has an open line HELOC on it. So the same advice that I give my friends that I do for myself, I'm doing for these clients. So when I'm talking to clients, even a client today that wanted $200,000, I took a phone call at a random shop. He wants $200,000 cash out just to have. He doesn't have anything to have it with. And then I talked to him for 20, 30 minutes. And by the end of it, I figured out his dreams and I helped him plant some solutions with that cash of things he could do. Then he said, well, that's all great, but why am I going to take it? I said, you're going to take it because I could give it to you today. And I don't know if I could give it to you in 6 months or 12 months. And I don't know what the terms are going to be. But a bird in the hand's better than 2 in the bush. You said you've always thought of a vacation home. Put that money aside for a vacation home. You said you always wanted a business. Put that money aside for a business. Why not have that money in the bank? In the worst case scenario, pay it off if you don't need it. But trust me, you are going to need it. So like I'm talking about investing a lot and planting cash. And I want to just mention that to people. And even if you're doing purchases with people, like there's somebody on this call, my boy Cole, who talked to me about urgency and his clients saying like, I'm going to wait to purchase. I told him like, there is no waiting. What's the point of waiting? It's either you buy right now and if rates drop, you refinance, which is great. Or you don't buy right now, rates go up and you're screwed. So like the best thing to do is buy right now because you have a safety net in the future anyways. But why would you wait till the rush? If the rates go down, there's actually going to be a rush to buy. It's going to be harder for you to get a house. So whether it's purchase or refinance, I think right now is a pocket of time for everybody in mortgages to be having their best months of their career because everybody needs cash and everybody needs certainty and the world has lost its certainty. So I just wanted to mention that while you were saying it. Always pull credit, always go deep. And if you're not talking about the world and the urgency and everything going on, you're really missing about 9 boats in the water. How often do you talk about that, Rami? Real talk. On your calls, how often are you going deep into the world, what's going on?
Every single time because I'm not uncomfortable asking uncomfortable questions. right?
Right.
The main thing is people just don't like to ask these questions because they think it's going to put them in an uncomfortable position. And it might, in the beginning, it might, yes. But you have to ask those questions. You have to bring this stuff up, right? So, because these are things that your borrowers don't think about. All they're focused on is whatever whatever they want to do. Half of people that call in are not getting what they need. Well, they're not asking, I'm sorry, for what they need. They're asking for what they want. You have to take that want and you have to kind of show them, hey, I get it. And you have to be agreeable, right? It's all part of being a good salesman. But you have to show them what they actually need in order to put them in a better financial position. Okay. So that's ultimately what every conversation is about, improving their current situation right now so we can revisit it in 6, 7, 8, 12 months and see how we can even improve it even better. The one thing about the broker side, guys, and gals, is that you pay for that lead could make you $40,000 over the course of the next 3 years. If they refi every single time, and that's just one lead, right? So when you're making investments into a lead, don't think, obviously, yeah, it's good that it's going to make you a return on the spot, obviously, when you convert the lead, if you're working it properly. But it's also going to be a return in a year from now, maybe 10 months from now, right? Or maybe 2 years from now. Or maybe their daughter wants to buy a house, or somebody in their family wants to refinance. These are all things you have to make sure you keep in mind. People are so focused on, I'm going to do triggers and pay 50 cents a lead. I'm not going to pay $30 for a lead, for an ag lead that's fresh and ready to go. You can do that. That's fine. But, and we'll get to these questions in a second, but everything I do is all ag leads, aggregate leads. I do not do credit triggers on my side for many reasons. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, ag lead, I mean, it's not even to be fair. This is like known. Ag leads are more expensive because they're higher converting than credit triggers.
Yes.
Credit triggers are extremely saturated. I've done both. I've converted both. I'll choose ag leads anytime, any day over credit triggers.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Credit triggers for everything is good. It's not a bad thing, right?
No, it's not a bad thing. But I'm saying when it comes to quality, it's less people on the ag leads. So I mean, that's why they're higher priced, right? What kind of ag leads are you buying right now? I know you get freerateupdate.com, but what else do you get?
Free rate. I mean, I have so the old saying goes like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, right? Because you never know. So I have like 7 or 8 different sources I actually pull from on a daily basis, and I make tweaks. Obviously, every week is different. This depends on what's converting, what's not converting. But you got your free rate, you got your lower my bills, you have your lead point, lending tree, you have your Lendgo, you have your I think there's like one other source as well. But yeah, there's multiple sources that I use overall, just because of the fact that I can't just depend on one lead source to get me what I want. And it's a numbers game, right? It's like same thing as anything else in this line of work. It's a numbers game. Sometimes you're going to convert that one lead that's your highest converting lead. Other times you're going to convert a lending tree lead. It just depends on whichever one is actually working for you, because we have many loan officers, even in our shop here at WestCap. Like for example, I don't do well with lending tree leads, but we got LOs of the company based on their approach, whatever strategy they're using. It's their highest converting lead, literally. So it just depends. You have to have different vendors, so you kind of see, okay, what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. And just like any business person that's that runs their own business, you start making tweaks at that point.
Yeah, and you're still fresh at this, so I'm sure you're still making changes today and figuring things out as you go, because you're only a couple of months in.
Correct.
I had somebody similar to you that started at WestCap and wanted advice on the marketing spend, and what I did with them is what you're saying. They had $4,000 to invest. We took the $4,000, we split it in 25% buckets, and we put 4 different lead flows that I chose for them, and we tested the conversion for 60 days on those 4 lead flows. We ended up narrowing it down to 2 lead flows that he liked a lot. We went 50-50 in it, and we're still figuring out which one's better. So you spread out your eggs and you see which one you like the most, and you figure things out as you go, which I think is very smart. The good thing about ag leads is mostly the scripting's the same. My script for ag leads is like, hey, Rami, you're a flag for a phenomenal opportunity on lendingtree.com. What are you looking to get accomplished? Or, hey, Rami, I see you're a flag for exclusive opportunity on Lower My Bills. How could I help you out today, Or, hey, Rami, I see that you're on Lendilio and you're a flag to get either cash out or monthly savings. Which one would benefit you more? So I'm always coming in with a website and the ag lead source and starting it that way. What is your introduction for your ag leads?
It's the same exact thing. Hey, John, this is Rami giving you a call at WestCap. Just got your inquiry here about some equity options for your property in Florida. Tell me a little bit more about what you're looking to accomplish.
All right. Do you get a lot of objections up front or no? What's the percentage of calls you get objections on?
No, for the most part, if they answer the phone, we're getting into a conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's just, when they don't answer the phone, obviously they're either tied with a different lender or they don't want to hear from anybody anymore. Like they're sick of the calls and the voicemails. Well, those are future opportunities because, some of them, many of them will just simply just not answer your call at all just because they're just overwhelmed with a bunch of stuff. And if you give up on that lead after 3-4 days, it really sucks because that borrower might be in the market 7 days from now. They might have inquired now, but you'll be surprised how many people get overwhelmed from calls and emails and texts. And they're like, screw this, I'm done. I'm not doing anything right now. But then a week later, when things calm down, they go back and, at that point, they want to do it, or they're more open to having a conversation.
So what is your strategy? If they don't answer a call, what is your play?
Well, I'm constantly
Number
calling
one, if
them.
they don't answer, what do you text them and say?
So if they don't answer, I have it's just an automated text that goes out pretty much.
Yep.
That says, it does ask some basic questions like, was the cash for home improvement or was it for debt consolidation, right? I didn't hear back from, the second thing that goes out automatically after a few hours, if there's no response, hey, I didn't hear from you. I know you're getting really overwhelmed with calls and you're getting bombarded with them, but, hear me out for a second. Let's see if we can know what's a good time for you later on today that we can actually speak for 5 minutes. And then some of them respond to that. Some of them don't respond to anything that goes out throughout the day. And then I follow up with them again the next day, right? So, and then after like 2, 3, 4 days, I make sure I'm still following up with them based on their statuses, right? If they're hot, if they're cold, if they did get a response but didn't keep the conversation going, or if they just pretty much just dropped it completely and never answered yet, right? If they never answered at all in any way, shape, or form, I'll after like a week or so, they go into a no contact list, and that automatically that's like pretty much like my dial list, in a sense, on a daily basis. Yeah. And I have my dedicated time where, okay, in the morning, based on my schedule, like at 12 o'clock till like 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, I'm doing outbound dials. And then maybe later on the day, when I've found already my origination for the day or my deal, I'll do a second round of outbound dials from like 6 to 7:30 my time or something of that nature. It just depends on, obviously how much business you're trying to get after.
Yeah, no, you're a really smart guy for doing that. And you're picking the perfect time too. As soon as the day slows down, you start outbounding. And it's funny because that cold list you have, some people don't even focus on that list at all. Some people never even get to that list again when they don't get an answer for 3-4 days. And how many leads, real talk, would you say you're converting off your no contact list after a week that you dial outbound from? Let's say every single week, how many leads do you convert from the no contact list on average?
Let me tell you, for example, today, so this is a great example. So today, I converted a lead that was 4 days old, and I converted another lead as well that was 11 days old. So it just depends on, but there's a lot of business. I would say roughly.
Did you talk to the lead at all that's 11 days old, or it's like they never answered you and they just answered today?
No, they never answered. And today they decided to answer, and then we set up an appointment and we spoke and we got things done.
Got it.
And it was mainly, and their answer to me was, I haven't done anything yet. I mean, my phone was blowing up when I first did this and I said, forget it. That's what one person told me. So, I'm like, I understand, I get it. I figured I'd just wait a little bit longer. I'm sure that I was calling you as well. So thank you very much for taking up the time of your day to speak with me because I know you're very busy. Tell me a little bit more about your situation, how much equity you're looking to tap into so I can kind of get an idea and help better guide you. And I'll just shut up and let them talk.
So you're doing about half and half from your no contact list and then half is like your active follow-up.
Yeah, you're not going to have a very high conversion rate when it comes to lead buys, like on the same day. Yeah, you might. I mean, one of the 3 deals I got today was a same day lead. Yeah, that was really good. That's always a good thing. But a lot of like ag space. Yes, correct.
Good shot.
Yeah, 3 deals today. 2 regular, first trust deed locks and 1 HELOC. And even the HELOC was for $331,000. It still pays out well like a regular refi. If you know. So it just depends, but you have to make sure that you're following up with your people. The biggest mistake in this line of work, people don't follow up. They don't. It really sucks, but they don't take the time to reach back out to people because part of it is mindset and work ethic. Either they don't feel like it or they just don't give themselves a fair shot.
Yeah. How much are you spending on marketing? And what do you recommend somebody starting fresh spends on marketing to get a good success ratio?
Yeah. So marketing, I'm spending right now about, so I would say $10,000 a month from a marketing expense. That's how much I'm spending.
Did you spend that your first month or you built up to that now?
No, I spent it my first month because so here's the thing. My approach to it was just make my phone ring. That's it, right? Part of this, guys, and part of this industry and this line of work and this market is believing believing in yourself. I'm good on the phones. I ran a team and I managed 32 people remotely for 5 straight years, right? You have to believe in yourself and the value you bring to the table. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go all in, right? Because I wanted to start strong. And I'm like, you know what? That's the only way to learn quickly and to build a quick pipeline. If that 10,000 is what it takes to make my phone ring and be able to, because every thousand in the broker world, if you have good products and good sales skills and whatever, every thousand should 10x your return. Now that's what I started. Is it a reasonable number for everyone to start at that number? Of course not. I get it. But a reasonable number, I think, if you're going to start in the ag lead space, so you can get a good share of leads every single day and have a first shot, so you're constantly doing something, I would say is roughly about anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000. I think is a fair number per month to invest in yourself, and that 4,000 or 5,000 is going to give you and return you 50,000 plus if you're converting, if you're following up, and you work in the leads as much as you possibly can.
God damn, boy, you make me want to get back in the fucking game, bro. Do not tempt me with a good time. Don't fucking tempt me with a good time, bro. God damn.
Sales is sales. Either you like it or you don't like it, right? So, I mean,
I fucking love this shit. I love selling cash, bro. Put me on the fucking phone. I'll close 60 right now. Closing them. Everywhere I go, I'm closing them. I fucking close them for fun. Somebody called me today from 3 years ago that I work with, and I fucking sold them, and I gave it to my sister-in-law in three-way. I said, here you go. Here's a fucking loan. The guy remembered me from 3 years ago. And he called about an escrow shortage.
Wow. What are the odds, right?
Listen, I'm getting a ton of questions here. All right, so we're gonna have to get into some sales swag. Could I be the client and you be Rami? Real talk. Could we just play a call? People just want to hear the way your calls sound. I'm just gonna be a client for you, and we just want to run a just random phone call for you. You give me the lead source, and let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's try. Let's go for any lead source you want. It doesn't really matter. It's the same play on every one of them. I don't mention lead sources, by the way, just so you know. When I follow up with a customer.
All right, let's say I'm one of your lead ags and I answer the phone. Hello.
Hey, Al, this is Rami giving you a call at Westcap. How you doing?
Hey, good, man. I was just clicking around online. I didn't think I was going to get any phone calls. I was just curious about something, but I'm good.
Yeah, no, of course, I get it. I'm sure your phone is actually going off right now, left and right. So I won't take too much of your time. Listen, it looks like on here, it looks like you were looking to tap into about $50,000 worth of equity. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was looking at it, but I don't know, man. The rates and stuff, I'm probably going to just, hold off, and you could probably call me in like a couple months and I'll figure it out.
No, I can do that, but who said anything about touching your primary mortgage? Is that what you heard?
Yeah, that's what I was telling me online.
No, that's not correct, actually. And listen, before I step in and actually tell you all this as well, Al, let me just take a step back for a second, right? One of the executive branch managers here with West Capital, and I've been doing this for 17 years. So I can tell you, I'm definitely not here to waste your time. Either we can find something for you or we can't. And trust me, if we can't, I'm going to make sure I wrap this up as quickly as possible because your time is money. You don't have to touch your first mortgage. Whatever rate you have right now under, we can take a look at a home equity line of credit, okay, and be able to have access to those funds whenever you see fits. We'll to go over a couple basic questions and we'll see what we can possibly do. I have on here, I pulled up your home on the property profile, and it looks like it's worth about $500,000. Is that accurate? Give or take?
Yeah, probably right around there.
Okay. Great. Okay. So you have some equity and you owe about 180 on the balance, right now?
Yeah, 180.
Gotcha. Okay. Listen, so far, it looks like you have the equity in the house, right? We'll see what we actually can qualify for. And I can always work on this offline if need be. So I'm not, keeping you on the phone. But tell me a little bit more about your income. What are you currently do for a living right now?
Right now, I'm a consultant in sales.
Okay. So you're 1099, I would say?
Yeah. I'm actually S Corp.
S Corp. Okay, great. So bottom line is you work for yourself. How much would you say you make on a yearly basis?
Probably roughly like 800 to 900.
Okay. And that's, I'm guessing, gross, or is that net?
Actually, let's just say probably from 50 to 80,000, just to be, average American right now.
Yeah, no, I get it. Listen, on paper, it's one thing, and I run into it all the time. Don't worry about it. So, let's say $90,000 net. So I'll use that as the base figure for now. But of course, we'll take a look at tax returns if we need to, and see how those reflect as such. So, yes. How about credit? How are things looking like on the credit side last time you checked?
I should be in the 700s.
Okay, great. So listen, so far so good, right? So the one thing, obviously, I'm sure that you already know, it's very hard sometimes to qualify self-employed people that have like S corporation and so forth, because on paper, you're not going to show you're making what you're truly making, which is fair. Okay, so I'm not judging. With our home equity line of credit options, it goes off of your actual deposits. We have a lot of lenders out there that actually go off of deposits and not so much tax returns at all. So I think once we can find something, we're going to be a very good fit. Remember that we're actually a broker, so we work with a lot of different lenders, and we're going to do all the shopping for you and see exactly which one gives us the best pricing pricing along with the best service. So I'm working for you, John. I'm not working for the lenders or anything like that. Whoever gives me the best option that I can pass on to you is how I do business. So I have everything I need right now. So what I'm going to do is just take a look at a brief credit report and see what we can possibly put together, and make sure we provide you with the best possible pricing the market has to offer. Can you verify for me your date of birth, please?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to pull my credit. My credit score is like around 700. Could you just give me the numbers?
I can do that, John, but ultimately, listen, because I have to see which lender is going to be the best pricing, I need to make sure I have a solid actual FICO score and a report to get over to them. But I'm assuming you've already had it pulled, right?
I'm not sure if they pulled it. They asked me for the last four of my social only online.
Okay, so most likely it was a soft pull, which is something we can do. We can definitely go off of a soft pull. I think it's going to be a little more comfortable for you. So what's your date of birth?
All right, beautiful pivot back. Rami, pretend that my credit score is in the 600s and I don't qualify for a HELOC. I want to see how you pivot me to the refi, okay? All right, perfect. So I give you my birth date, date of birth, social. You pull up my credit. You see a personal loan, a couple credit cards, a car loan, and I'm at 648. Go ahead.
Okay, great. So I have the credit report pulled up here, John. So your soft pull, which is normally what we would get on a regular hard pull as well, but it just doesn't report that we inquired on it, is 610 right now. So were you anticipating a higher FICO score or something like that? When's the last time you checked it?
Yeah, I'm not sure, man. That's crazy. You know, I had false collection on my Verizon. It probably fucked it up, man.
Oh, yeah. I see that a lot, actually, very often. So nevertheless, I mean, from a HELOC perspective, it's going to be a little bit tough. Obviously, as you probably are aware, HELOCs are second liens and they're higher risk from a lender perspective. So they have higher requirements and qualifications. But no worries. I think I have something else I think over here that's going to be a little bit more feasible. As long as you're open to my professional opinion, if you don't mind, I want to go ahead and share that with you. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's go through the credit and what you currently have in a monthly expense standpoint right now and see exactly what you're paying on each one, so we can kind of get a better picture of what a new payment will potentially look like, right? So on your mortgage, you're paying $1,500 a month, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. On debts A, B, C, and D, and E, you're paying roughly about $50 a month on each of them.
Yeah.
Do you pay anything extra?
Not right now.
Okay, got it. Now I see here there was a personal loan you have that has like a $10,000 balance. It's about $350 a month. You had a couple lates on that one here about maybe 10, 11 months ago. Everything is back on track there? Was there anything I should know about?
Oh, yeah, that's my RV, man. I love that thing, but I didn't really get to use it this year.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay. Well, I mean, obviously that has a little bit of a blemish on the credit report, but we'll see about getting an exception for that. It's not a problem. But were you looking to pay that off as well?
Oh, yeah, I should probably pay it off, right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid because, I mean, if you're going to pay it off, I'm guessing you're probably paying on it a good 6-7%, right?
I think it's 8.
Okay, well, yeah, you definitely should pay it off. And I'll show you how we can do that here in a second, right?
Okay.
So let me go ahead and do this. I'm going to put you on a brief hold. Let me work on this and see what proposal I can put together for you. Okay. Just make sure you keep an open mind because I'm going to walk you through something that probably a different lender did not walk you through. Okay. Because you're obviously looking for a home equity, but just let me show you how this is going to make sense. And then we can see what questions you have after the fact. So put them on hold, get back on the phone, or I might just hang up, end the conversation, do my research and whatever, and structure my presentation. You don't have to do a one-call close if you don't want to. And then I'm going to call them back. Right. And if I'm going to call them back, I'm going to make sure I set a firm appointment before I get off that first call. Don't say I'm just going to call you back. That's not an appointment, right? Yep. Set a firm time. So call it back. Hey, John, this is Rami here with Westcap giving you a call back.
What's going on, man?
All right. Well, I got some good news for us. So do me a solid here. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper real quick. Let me go ahead and have you just jot down a few things for me if you don't mind.
All right.
Okay, great. So what I want you to do is just draw a line through the center of the page, like from top to bottom real quick. So remember, before we ended the first conversation, we said that we had all these monthly bills that you're paying on a monthly basis. And we mentioned that we're not able to pay extra every month on it, right?
Yeah.
Let me just have you write those down real quick for me. Okay. So number one, mortgage payment $1,500.
Yep.
Your second one is your RV $350 a month. I'll go down the list one by one, and I'll tally up the numbers. So John, all these on a monthly basis is $2,987. Did you know that this is how much you got from an actual expense every single month, bare minimum?
Yeah, it's pretty high, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to get carried away a lot of times because, it's small payments. But when you look at it from a monthly standpoint, you add them all together, it's a pretty hefty number. So if I'm able to reduce this number down to $1,675, would you believe me?
I know, I'd be pretty good, actually.
So that's roughly a $1,300 swing. You get that $1,300 more in income. You would be giving yourself a raise every month of $1,300. How would that sound?
Sounds great.
This is exactly what I have you approved on, Al. So with this, you're already pre-qualified for it. Okay. We just have to verify some income documentation, right? And make sure that obviously I'm talking like, either, if we're doing a bank statement loan, 12 months of bank statements or whatever the case may be at that point. And then I don't bring up closing costs or interest rate until the end.
Okay. What if I ask, what's my rate?
Oh yeah, your rate is actually 6.25%. Actually below what the par rate is right now.
Yeah, well, you know what? While I was waiting for your call, I had a broker call me, tell me they get me down to 5.25 right now.
Wow, that's actually great. 5.25. Did it tell you how much you're gonna pay for it? Like how much costs are built into the loan?
No, he didn't tell me that.
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you. Whatever obviously rate that you're getting, I have it too. There's nothing like in this line of work. There's a certain ratio from top to bottom. Now, a lot of times it all depends on what you're willing to pay for it. Okay, and the reason I picked 6.25 for you, it's not because it looked good or anything like that. No, it's because this is the next step in our process. I don't want you to pay so much in closing costs right now, and then because 6 months from now or 7 months from now, when you've made your 6 payment, 7 payment, we're going to be on the phone again. I'm going to be your go-to guy for life. We're going to drop your rate and payment because here's what's going to happen. When you pay off all these debts, I know for a fact, assuming you don't open up new debt, your score is going to go up within 30 days. And you're going to call me and tell me it went up. And that's great. You want to keep it that way. And with that higher credit score, this is more of a Band-Aid loan right now. This is not like your forever loan. No one refinancing right now, Al, is doing a forever loan. So the reason I picked that rate is because 6 months from now, I'm going to be giving you a call and seeing what we can do and take a look at all the options because you're going to have a higher credit score. Okay? You're going to have a much cleaner credit report. And if we can do something, we're going to be able to drop your rate and payment even more. So why pay closing costs right now, Al? You tell me, would you pay an extra $6,000 right now just to get a 5.99 or a 5.25? I'm sorry.
No.
Gotcha. So that's exactly my point. I want you to know very, very clear. I have the rate. Don't think I don't have it. And we can change it potentially during process if we really want to get down to that rate. But let's just start at something that's reasonable. You can make up your money between now and 6 months from now. So we can then be able to get you into a better rate and better payment. Because if you pay $5,000 in points right now, and 6 months from now, we can drop your rate and payment, you are not going to be able to recoup that money. So let's go ahead and proceed with that interest rate. And I'm going to be your go-to person for life. Which card would you like to use for your appraisal?
That's what I'm talking about, my brother. I'll use my credit card and you could swipe it up my cheeks. That was smooth. That was a great job. I do want to give you some feedback, sir, because I know you like feedback, right?
Yes, please.
I didn't hear a lot of the relationship building that we were talking about earlier. Maybe you do it in the natural calls. I think we have the same exact style when it comes to the phone. Like all the things you were saying, I say the rate and the cost explanation, all those things. I just try to be a little more deep into the conversation. So RV, wow, man, why'd you get an RV? You know, and like going deep into the RV, why he got it, wife, kids, this, that. I try to get a relationship with him before I let him go. So I have that concrete memory and they don't shop me or leave me.
Then we can that part could have been an extra 10-15 minutes on the conversation.
Yeah, I bet you do that on regular calls. Yeah.
That's kind of why I asked. I was like, you know what happened here like a year ago when you had a couple lates, right? I want to kind of, want to kind of feel you out and see maybe something happened. Maybe you got divorced. Maybe you got you didn't have a good couple months or good quarter at work. You couldn't make your bills on time. It just depends.
Beautiful, man. Well, thank you for that example. It was a great one. We're getting a lot of questions in. I'm going to just hit you with a couple on effort and your structure. What is your sales schedule for the day?
My sales schedule every single day, I'm guessing when you say sales schedule, you mean like my work hours.
What time are you up? What time are you dialing? What time are you following up? What time are you checking on your in process? What time are you clocking out? Are you working weekends, not working weekends? How does it go your week?
So for me, I am very structure driven. Monday through Friday, I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm at the gym at 6. I get back at 8 o'clock. I'm hitting the phones at 8:30 Eastern time. And then I'm working all the way until 8 o'clock in the evening. And I don't work on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's just, I'm going to put in 12 hours a day. I'm not going to really put in much on the weekend. But let me be very crystal clear. You depend on your clients. What I mean by that is if a client can't talk until for example, like on Saturday, then you might want to make the time to talk to your client on Saturday. If it's 30 minutes or if it's an hour, because that could be a possible deal, right? You don't want to turn business because it doesn't suit your schedule. Every now and then, if it's really urgent, yeah, fine, you can do that. But remember, if you're not talking to this customer at 9 o'clock at night because it's when they're available, someone else is going to be calling them. So That's the main thing for me. Monday through Friday, nothing on the weekends unless it's really actually an appointment, and I'll make it happen.
Facts. And lastly, what's your motivation and your drive and your why, man? 8 to 8 every single day, grinding hard. You're doing it at a large scale. You've been doing it for 20 years. What's the motivation? What's the why? What keeps you going, especially on the bad days?
Yes, then my main thing is pretty much just taking care of my family. That's my number one thing, right? Everyone has different whys, but my go-to thing is making sure, that I'm providing for my family and that I'm setting myself up. My number two thing is setting myself for an early retirement. That's ultimately my number two goal, is grinding now to set myself up for an early retirement, because, my philosophy behind it is that we talk to so many people and we see and hear what's going on out there, and people work until they're 60, 65, 70. No disrespect. That's all good and dandy, right? I just see the struggle that people are going through, and I don't want that for myself. So I'm going to put in the effort right now on the grind, so later I can have something self-sustained per se, and that's going to generate me income. I do have a couple investments in Airbnb properties, and I want to keep investing in those. And my ultimate goal is in 6 years from now, have 10 Airbnbs. So everyone has different goals, but it's my family first, and then my future and early retirement second.
Got it, sir. Well, I'd say we share the same purpose, the same why, and the same passions. And I want to thank you for being on the show. It was very insightful. I know everybody listening got some nuggets out of this. And at the end of the day, there is no magic, right? There is no secret sauce. It's hard work, ethic, there's belief, there's doing right by people, there's being a professional. Like through that call, I wrote down 3 things: assumptive, confident, and professional. The whole time you made it seem like you were there for me. It wouldn't make sense for me to not talk to you. You're only there to help me. And you're very professional and precise in what you say. And people could sense that and feel that on the phone.